I'm Phyllis King, and these are my predictions for 2025. Welcome. During this sharing, I will be offering you my points of view about technology, celebrity, the royal family, U.S. politics, uh, global events, weather events, and anything else that seems to be relevant to the patterns I'm seeing. But let me start first with just sharing with you my perceptions about the energetic patterns that we're all going to be experiencing as we head through 2025. Now, mostly, I absolutely love 2025, in part because I'm someone who really enjoys change. I really enjoy opportunity to expand and try new things. And if that's your cup of tea, you're going to like 2025 because the energy is pioneering. The energy is revolutionary. The energy is so productive for new beginnings, and not just new beginnings, but new movements. It reminds me almost energetic when you think of the Renaissance period with an explosion in art and music. And I do believe we will see a new beginning in art and music on the planet because we've been squeezed into a box of a sort, and that box wants to be burst. And that's a very good analogy. A box wants to be burst open. So I encourage all of you to take advantage of this incredible energy and run with it with everything you have. Now, the first part of the year reminds me of someone who was learning how to drive a manual transmission. And sometimes if you recall that, if you've ever driven one, sort of jerks forward and you can't quite sync up the clutch and the accelerator until you start to learn that correct balance. That's how the first part of the year is. We're trying to move forward and we want to move forward, but we keep having these interruptions and stops and starts. However, once we get a little bit past May, it's kind of nice. Smooth sailing for the balance of the year. I mean, we're always going to have things, but the energy pattern is vastly different. It's just really wonderful. So don't look at some of these stops and start energy of the first part of the year as any kind of an indicator that that's how the year is going to end up. Matter of fact, I would say, and this came to pass from my 2024 predictions, that I felt that no matter what happened in 2024, when you got to the end, you would go back and say, yeah, well, and that was difficult, but man, I really moved my life forward. I got that job I wanted. I got into a relationship, or I got out of that relationship, or I relocated, or, got pregnant, whatever the issue is, right? And I think we're going to experience that tenfold in 2025. It's just the wild, wild west. Let's make this our banner year because the energy wants explosion, expansion. And I would encourage you to take advantage of that. And even if you're not consciously taking advantage of it, that energy is going to be moving through your system. So be mindful. Be mindful of that. And one of the things I'm focused on with my clients and the people who are in my immediate circle is, of course, inner work, inner stability, working your consciousness to be able to maximize how you manage your interactions in those flow of energies. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to it. Let's get to some particulars. And you see my background here. It's AI generated 2025 technology matrix like, right? Because AI is just continuing to grow in exponential ways because we're seeing it really move into healthcare in ways we haven't seen before. And it's only going to make further inroads. And I see the technology continuing to mimic and even, do I dare say, supersede and become better than the human body can do. I mean, we're really seeing it mimic and actually exceed what the human body can do sometimes, which it's a little bit scary to think about, right? All those sci-fi movies we've seen over the years that scared us about machines taking over. Well, I'm not going to go there, but let's just say some of the advances we're seeing are incredibly useful, and it's pretty remarkable what is going to become available. I think boots on the ground will just see the ability to manage our wellness without getting to the doctor as much. We can take our own vitals and get information real time that's much more accurate and precise and detailed than ever before. We're always going to need human people to tell us more and delineate results and things like that. But it's becoming more and more sophisticated. And we're going to see, even in the technology world, the jobs continue to change because the workers have to continue to keep up with the ever increasing sophistication of what is available in the employment market and the marketplace. So I think the technology workers, those are just going to continue to be highly well-paid jobs and demanding jobs. It's a lot. So that is just a very prevalent piece of 2025 where we're going to have AI in every area of our life, whether we realize it or not. We already see it on the phone lines when we're on hold. We already see it on our banks. We already see it on our phones. And it's just going to become more and more integrated into our daily awareness. Okay, so for the most part, I'm an optimist. It's my blessing and my curse, but we're going to reap the benefits of that in many ways, and then we'll begin to see the drawbacks of that as well. Okay, I want to just touch very briefly on the royal family. I don't typically do a lot of commentating on them. Just being a U.S. citizen, I'm not as impacted by it as those living in the U.K. But my heart really goes out to the royal family because they are in a cycle of a lot of health challenges. And even with one of the children I think it's Kate, one of her children seems to have a challenge in the 2025 year. But the whole family seems to be under assault with medical issues, and it's just ongoing. And it's so debilitating and emotionally straining for people. And I know a lot of us don't have a lot of sympathy for people who are rich and celebrity and famous. We think how can they complain about anything? But no matter who you are in life, you're going to get suffering. I don't care if you're rich or poor, or you're beautiful, you're not. You're going to have suffering. And I just have compassion for people who are suffering. Even if you're wealthy and beautiful, suffering still is suffering. So my heart goes out to them. Now, there's a heaviness there, but we have a heaviness in the U.S. We elected a new president who brought a lot of baggage with him into the office. Now, he certainly has a lot of energy and will bring his disruptive, chaotic nature to everything. That's how he likes to roll, and it keeps everybody on their toes. And in a sense, that's kind of a good thing. Keep everybody alert. The people who are in power, let's say, I think a large percentage of the population just sort of tunes it all out. But those who still participate in some level, there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of struggle and fighting and pushing back. And this isn't just with our coming in president. This has been going on in politics a long time, but this particular figure inspires quite a bit of vitriol and resistance. And to that point, and we're in this revolutionary energy, revolutionary isn't just relegated to the right. In the United States, the left can also organize and become revolutionary as well. So it's a little bit chaotic, but overall, I like what I'm seeing with the economy in the second half of the year. It's improving. And some of that is due to the current administration. Everybody comes in on the wave that is already existing. And we'll see what happens actually in 2026. The housing market in the US still is a little tough. It's so expensive, and interest rates are not going to come down quickly. They can't, or inflation will go absolutely crazy again. And so it's really a dance we're doing. And the whole immigration discussion is just continuing to evolve and morph and who gets to stay, who gets to go, what are the rules? Oh, yeah, and this particular demographic actually is a huge part of the economy. How are we going to deal with that? So all of a sudden, the nuance of some of the proposals are coming into play. But I expect it will move very slowly, all the changes coming through our new president. And my sense is, and I certainly do not wish this, I'm also feeling some health concerns. You know, when you become an octogenarian, you're going to have a weakened immune system. I don't care who you are. And I do feel a weakening system actually this year, which does not bring me any kind of joy at all. But I think we're going to have to watch for that in the Oval Office. So a wild, wild, chaotic year, a lot of resistance from infighting and from the opposition, the left in the US. And as that pertains to world events, especially in Germany, I'm just watching the rest of the world watch the United States and figure out how to play off of our chaos and our how we're trying to sort through our own evolution, if you will. And it's sort of like, how do we prepare? How do we manage this? So the whole planet feels a little bit, what do I say? Armed and ready, if you will. But what I notice is a lot of countries globally sort of distancing themselves to the degree they can from the US. Kind of, how can we be on our own in the world if America is not friendly to us or not as friendly as they have been? So it's a strange time in that regard. But again, this is the leadership. And people themselves, we all like each other. We're not having issues with one another. So I'm going to leave that on the table. If anybody has any specific questions about a policy, you're certainly welcome to put it in the comments. And as it pertains to global, events such as this ongoing situation in Ukraine and the Middle East is going to continue to be what it is. The day-to-day fighting pretty much coming down to nothing, but the repercussions of the trauma and injury that has been affected is going to live on for some time, generations. And so this 680 or whatever year old war that we're dealing in, this current incarnation, it's just going into another way. Okay. And Israel really, and from my point of view, requires new leadership because the existing leadership is not moving things forward. It's keeping the status quo. And who knows when that will occur? I don't see it, but that's what probably needs to happen. And as we look over at the Ukraine situation, that is going to end. That thing has been over for a while. It's been egos keeping it going. And I think that one will be done for better or for worse. We're looking at that by the end of the summer, I would say, in 2025. And, these are the things that can really terrify some people when they're thinking about, if Russia invades other, Eastern Europe and what's going to happen if they aren't held at bay. These are all bridges we're going to have to cross when we get there. But I wouldn't be surprised to see, and this is what most people don't expect from the incoming president, Trump, is he is going to support Ukraine. What anybody thinks, he's going to support them. So it should be very interesting, very reality TV-like, very like cliffhanger. So that makes it somewhat stressful, but the energy wants to, again, come into humanitarianism. So I feel primarily good about that. There are other things going on around the globe in terms of the weather challenges, certainly in Indonesia, Thailand, Japan. Water, water, floods, earthquakes, tsunami continue to come up in my awareness as regular occurrences in that part of the region. I'm seeing a lot of drought in the United States, and then a lot of water. It's like feast or famine in terms of the water and the distribution. And, water is something I think we will all continue to understand how vitally important it is on our planet for various reasons. And yeah, so look for that to occur a lot throughout the year, especially during peak seasons. I'm not necessarily going to point out specific disasters. I don't know how useful that is. And, the future can be subject to change. And I like to make sure people are using their best instincts and listening to their own greater reality to guide them in their daily lives. Because if you're in tune with greater reality, you will, if it's not your time, it's not your time, right? So enough said on that topic. So now I'm going to move into something more fun and easygoing, which would be Hollywood. Every year I like to predict the Oscars for the Best Actor and the Best Actress. And this year, and I've only seen one movie. I'm not a huge movie person. I might watch something on Netflix 3 years later. But this young kid, Timothy Chalamet, if I'm not mistaken, I think he is in a movie that is as a biopic of Bob Dylan. I'm getting a lot of energy around him, and not that there aren't some other candidates that feel incredibly, worthy. It seems like Hollywood is liking these biopics and these, remembering this artist because on the flip side, I'm seeing two potential women and Angelina Jolie doing Maria Callas. I did happen to watch that movie on Netflix, which I thought after a slow start was a pretty decent movie. I was just sort of, I feel like this is more like a participation Oscar if she gets it. I'm looking at that movie and I go, did she ever even sing? I know she was mimicking, but I never actually heard her sing. It was all lip sync as far as I could tell, but that's neither here nor there. But I thought she did a good job, but is it Oscar worthy? I don't know. I'm not a movie critic. But I see her, and I'm also getting a lot of energy around Amy Adams. But it feels much stronger for Angelina Jolie. I don't know what to say. So those are my predictions. And I don't know that the Oscar for the actor or actress will be the best movie. I think the best movie of the year will be something different. And I don't know what those movies are, but these two actors stuck out to me a lot. So if I've skipped anything, and there's anything you want me to talk about, just put it in the comments. But I like this year very, very much. I think there's a lot to look forward to, and we don't have nearly as much to fear as we think we do. I think most of us are in a pretty good position, and there's always change, but the energy we're in is brand new for hundreds of years. We haven't experienced this kind of rebirth, renaissance energy in our lifetime. So I'm excited for that. And I think we will all come out of 2025 next level. Next level. If you came out next level in 2024, just multiply that by 10. Okay. It's going to be a great year. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. For more information, you always find out on my website, phyllisking.com, or I'm all over social media at Intuitive Life Strategist or the Common Sense Psychic. Okay. Happy New Year.